The Peralta College's Board of Trustees meeting, June 25th, 2019, will begin momentarily. The Peralta College's Board of Trustees meeting of June 25th, 2019 will begin in a few moments.
But
have all the
Karen,
yeah.
I suggest
Madam Vice President, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
do you want to?
Trustees, we're going to get going.
Do you want to limit this to 2 minutes each?
Okay. 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 Thank you. We're going to get started tonight. It's 7:23, and I'm Trustee Weinstein, and I'm covering for Trustee Bonilla, who cannot be here tonight. She's. Can we keep it? Can we keep it down back there?
We could start the pledge.
1 second. Okay. Okay, we're calling this meeting to order. Everyone, please stand for the pledge, which will be led by Bill Withrow, Trustee Withrow.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, everybody be seated. We have a busy evening. 1 second. Okay. Do we have a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Student Trustee Stanley.
Here.
Student Trustee Contreras. Here. Trustee Withrow.
Aye.
Trustee Handy. Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bella-Reese. Trustee Brown.
Yes.
And Trustee Weinstein.
Yes.
Thank you. All are here, but Trustee Bonilla.
Okay, thank you. I want to make one announcement that Trustee Brown has to leave at 8 o'clock tonight for other responsibilities. She's not just cutting out. She has to leave, so I'm letting people know ahead of time. Okay, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, do we have a report from closed session?
We do. Madam Vice President, tonight the board voted to recommend the extension of the appointment or approve the Tomas as the Interim Director of Student Activities and Campus Life at Berkeley City College effective July 1, 2019 through July 23, 2019 at an annual salary of $100,483, and that was a 6-0 vote with no abstentions and 1 absence, and that was Trustee Bonilla. And if Ms. Tomas is here, we'd like to welcome you to your continued employment. Thank you very much.
If you're here?
Is she here?
No.
Didn't come for the 1-month extension. Okay. Well, thank you very much in any case. Madam Vice President, that's the full report from closed session tonight.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ewan. And we are going to move to the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
And do we have a second? Thank you. It's been properly motioned and approved. So do we have a discussion?
I'd like to, excuse me, the item dealing with the Condé Nast contract with Laney College, I think that's, is it 4.2? I'd like to move to action if it's not. I'd like to, move the item 4.2. It's the contract with Condé Nast Entertainment. I'd like to move that to action, please.
Thank you, Trustee Ewan. Do we have any others? Yes. Trustee Bellarice?
Can we also move 6.3 to action?
6.3?
Yes,
Thank
And
you.
what is item 6.3?
Yeah,
ABC Security.
Thank you.
thank you. Trustee Handy?
Updated policies, I'm looking for it. I have questions on it. Yes, 3.2, just have questions.
Okay, 3.2. Okay. So we are now going to move to 2.6.
Need to vote on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to take a vote on the agenda. Is there a motion? Or are you going to take a roll call?
We have a motion and a second.
Thank you.
Student Trustee Stanley? Student Trustee Contreras? Trustee Withrow?
Aye.
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice? Trustee Brown? Trustee Weinstein?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, motion carries.
Okay. We're now moving to 2.6 for the approval of the minutes. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
A second? Second? It's been properly moved. We are now going to move to 2.7.
I'll get a roll call for that.
Roll call, sorry.
Student Trustee Stanley?
Here.
Trustee Withrow?
Aye.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice? Trustee Brown? And Student Trustee Contreras?
Student Trustee Contreras. Aye.
And Trustee Weinstein?
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries.
thank you. Thank you. Do we now have a report from the Associated Student Government? Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Spencer Staggers Elmore, and I serve as the Associated Students of Merritt College Incorporated 2019-2020 president. We have been on a break due to traveling and are scheduled to reconvene for training by our ex-official president, Yamis A. Johnson, and on July 15th through the 16th, between the hours of 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Huey P. Newton Bobby CEO Student Lounge. If you have the time, ASNC would like to invite the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor to attend. That concludes my reports.
Thank you very much. Next, can we move to the Peralta Classified Senate report?
Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor White, presidents, and guests. Tonight, we just have one campus report. From Laney College, the recent classified Senate election produced a new set of senators who are, after being given an orientation, will take over on July 1st. We look forward to them building on the work of the previous classified Senate. On to other matters. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office. Classifieds are happy that the Board of Trustees approved the Alameda County Sheriff Office contract extension for another year, albeit with reservations. We thank the board and the district for working out a solution that will address the safety concerns expressed by classified employees at the last board meeting and via email. That's the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your attention and support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your work. Now, can we hear from the District Academic Senate?
Good evening. Dr. Moore couldn't be here tonight. So my name is Fred Burgoyne. I serve as the Laney Senate President, Faculty Senate. So good evening, trustees, Chancellor, Vice Chancellors, Presidents, and everybody here. Dr. Moore provided a statement for me to read to you. As you may aware, we started summer session last week, and our summer faculty are already deep in their courses. I know I am. But there are a few points that President Moore wanted me to share with you. Number one, as you will hear from the faculty during public comments, and classified as well, there is concern about safety issue in career education courses due to the inability to hire instructional assistants. President Moore urged President Bonilla to obtain a mediator to work with SEIU to address the elimination of hourly employees before the fall semester begins. Many of the CE instructional assistants are employed full-time in industry and work as assistants as part-time work. While this does not account for all instructional assistants, issues of safety need to be addressed before the fall semester begins. Number two, I, Dr. Moore, wanted to remind the board that this fall we are implementing AB 705, and students are already signing up for English 1A and statistics courses, and hopefully we have the trained embedded tutors and are preparing to provide the support for those courses that we need. I also want to remind the board that we need to have ready by August the assessment tools we need to assess how successful we are in teaching students at this level, whether they are ready or not. That's our challenge. And number three, and this is a big thing for us, I think, in this district, it's about number 115, the so-called online college. I'm just going to call it number 115, not what they want to call it. So if you're not aware, although I'm sure you are, a CEO has been appointed to be president of number 115. And she has indicated that she lives in Oakland and has decided to have a northern center located in downtown Oakland. The DAS was surprised to learn about this center. What is the standard for a community college system, in a community college system, for an institution to be called a college or a center? When was it okay in California to have a community college open a center in another district's service area? When was there consultation with the district? No, didn't think so. Was the president of the board or our chancellor contacted by Chancellor Oakley or the new CEO? We don't go down to Santa Monica and open a Peralta Center down in Santa Monica, at least not without talking to people down there. Sorry. Okay. Peralta can't just put up a center in Santa Monica, okay? The number 115 should also not teach courses that we teach in our district. This was the promise that was made when this idea came up. There would be no overlap with existing programs, no competition. But if you read the literature that's out there, in the news anyway, one of the programs they're going to be offering is cybersecurity. I believe we have something going up at Merit about that. That's in direct competition. They're also talking about certificates in health and IT, or computer science in general. We teach those courses. They're coming in our backyard, and they're going to take our much-needed FTES. So I hope that President Bonilla and Chancellor White talk to Chancellor Oakley and the new president of number 115 and address the myriad of issues that have transgressed on local control. The new college, number 115, using terms like Oakland Center, has certain definitions and responsibilities within the community college system. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Trustee Ewan, do we have public comment?
We do. Thank you, Madam Vice President. We have about 50 public comments tonight, and so I want to commend those community organizers who did such an amazing job of turnout tonight. That's impressive. we're going to lose quorum at a certain point tonight because we've got one trustee down, and so we're going to ask that you keep your comments to 2 minutes rather than 3, and really stick to that. I think a lot of you are speaking on the same thing, and so I think just the presence here is quite impressive, and I think we get that. I think we get the power of it, and your words will be also quite useful. I've got a stack of yellow cards, which are the student cards, and I'm going to call those first. I think that is our protocol now to allow students to get out of here faster. You're, of course, welcome to stick around for the whole evening. And then we've got these ones. So I'm going to read about 4 names at a time. You can begin to line up, and then we'll do it that way. Hope that works for you. So I've got Yadira Sanchez, Norm Fisher, Brandy Howell, and Umair Yusuf. So if we can start with Yadira Sanchez, followed by Norm Fisher, Brandy Howell, and then if I'm getting your name pronounced wrong, my apologies, Umair Yusuf. So Yadira?
Norm.
Is there Yadira Sanchez? You're up first. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Hi, good evening. I'm here,
And
Yadira
Madam Clerk, could you
Sanchez.
set the clock for 2 minutes, please? Thank you.
Hi,
Sorry.
good evening. My name is Yadira Sanchez, former student, and I'm here for agenda item 7.6. Here supporting the Audit AHER campaign that I hope that you can also unanimously support as it impacts community members, students such as the ones here in the Peralta community colleges. So basically, I'm just here as a resident of Oakland, Alameda County resident, and as a former student to hopefully seek your support in supporting us with this Audit AHER campaign that we're seeking to have more transparency and accountability of how the budget is being used through the Sheriff's Department, that it also impacts the safety of students and communities at all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sanchez. Norm Fisher, followed by Brandy Howell, Umair Yusuf, and then Tu Nguyen.
Yeah, I'm Norm Fisher. I'm a student at Berkeley City College and president of the Berkeley City College Digital Arts Collective, a student-run organization. And after I retired in 2013, I went right back to school in their graphic arts program. And I value the printing program in which a assistant which runs the print room monitors our graphic arts program. And you can't have the arts program there without this monitor. And to call them assistants is a misnomer. These people are professionals in their community, so they really have a kind of excellence that you can't find anywhere else. In your wisdom, I hope you find whatever you need to do to make room for these people in, I guess, your budgets, or I'm not sure what has to be done, but these folks are just that important. Otherwise, there's no reason for our digital arts collective, which are 101 faculty and student organization at last count. I send an email out every month during the school semesters. That's how big we are. So that's the importance that for this group. And I've been doing this for 2 years. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fisher. Brandy Howell, Umair Yusuf, Tu Nguyen, and then Thomas Toe.
Hello. I'd like to just second what Norm said, to offer my support for the faculty and their instructional assistants. I work in public media here in the Bay Area and have taken numerous classes at Berkeley City College in the Multimedia Arts Department to further my professional growth and support and recommend these classes to anyone that really wants to further their careers within media. The level of instruction is as high as it gets, even at UC Berkeley where I did my undergraduate. And so I think any limitation cutbacks, it's really detrimental to the access of the programs. And I think the arts department within the Peralta district is very recommended throughout the Bay Area in professional development. So I think any cutbacks is really just detrimental to the success of future students. So I highly recommend continuing financial support for any instructional assistance and support for the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howell. Umair Youssef.
Hello. I'm also speaking on behalf of the Career Technical Education for student workers. I was TA for the biomanufacturing program, and I like to say that it is a wonderful opportunity, experience that I gained working as a TA in the program. I worked 2 years in industry, and the skills and experience that I got working as a TA for the biomanufacturing class represents very well what is taught and is done in industry, and I believe that it's a very good opportunity for future students to take on. Being a TA will give you that knowledge and skills that will benefit you when you transfer into industry. And it's also a great way to assist the teachers, and it's also a safety issue. You need, especially in a lab, you need more people being vigilant for things that could possibly go wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Youssef. Tu Nguyen, Thomas To, Kim Kale, and then Miko Firmage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tu Nguyen, and I am a TA of biomanufacturing for 2 semesters. I would love to say about my story, short but very encouraging me. I know you all want us to be succeed. That's what your goal is. So I came from abroad like about 10 years. I didn't study, so I came back to sign up for Laney College. It's really hard time to how to sign up, and I did that with the help with the some people encouraging me. And when I came in, it's really hard time to know where I am at. So I get to communicate with Douglas, and he accepted me to become the TA at his program. First of all, I don't know where I start, and I think the key is communicate. So build up my confidence. Right now, I think seem back like I didn't know who I am and how I start. After 2 semesters, I work with him. I know I can do Laney or outside Laney or everywhere I can. So with my story, hopefully that demonstrate is like if I can, a lot of students can able to build up the confidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nguyen. Thomas To, Kim Kale, Miko Firmage, and then Alicia Alston.
Hello, good evening. My name is Thomas To. For the past 2 years, I've been at Laney College as a student tutor, embedded tutor, teaching assistant, currently laboratory assistant. Needless to say,
Would you mind speaking closer to the microphone for us, please? Can you not hear any of the speakers
Could you bring the microphone closer to you? Thank you.
I tend to have the tendency to.
Is that working better out there in the audience? Can you hear that?
Okay, we'll just speak loud. Okay.
Thank you.
So I guess my 2 minutes will start now. For the past 2 years, I have been studying at Laney College. Needless to say, I've been a student tutor, peer tutor, embedded tutor, teaching assistant, laboratory assistant. So I am in support of instructional aids. Sorry, I'm not very good at public speaking.
Doing great.
And to have this proposal to remove support for instructional aids and all the professors that I've worked with and students that I see potential in and I want to support, it makes me very emotional to think that had I been here, if such proposal went through, I wouldn't have the opportunity to help these students to be a part of, the community and just develop myself as a person. I can't see how such proposal would go through, and for someone like me to, sorry. who wouldn't have these opportunities to see myself grow personally and to see where I would be if I had not had these opportunities frightens me. So I urge the board to support instructional aids for students like me who truly do want to develop themselves and help the next generation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toe.
Thank you so much for coming up here and having the courage to speak.
Kim Kale, and then Firmage Alston, and then Ekali Autry.
Good evening, Board, Trustees, Presidents. My name is Kim Kale. I have spoke before you all maybe 2 months ago in regards to my position as an instructional assistant. Since then, I have been awarded my position with the DSPS department at Laney College. Prior to that, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had to move from my location, which means that I'm back again homeless. When I started at Laney College, I was homeless, but I was diligent in getting my education because of my mother. And because of my mother, she actually started as a professional. And now I'm stepping into her footsteps. She graduated from the University of California in San Francisco with high honors as a teacher. She went into K through 12. My decision to become a teacher now is a struggle because of my disability. I have to face my challenges. But what I'm asking all of you is that if I would not have had the opportunity to be an instructional assistant, I couldn't have come to the decision that I want to succeed in getting my teaching credentials and come back to this great city of Oakland and come back to Laney and teach. If instructional assistants are eliminated, our instructors will be bombarded. And what I mean by bombarded is the number of students that they have to deal with per class is going to be overwhelming to them. Not only that,
Please
but
wrap up, Ms. Kale.
Excuse me?
Just please wrap up.
Okay.
I'm on the list. I'll cede my time to her.
And what's your name, sir?
Alejandro Acosta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
You've got 2 more minutes.
Thank you. I'm making it real fast. So what I'm basically saying is they need us. And what I mean by that, their jobs are overwhelming as it is. We lighten their load. And if we're not able to be there for our instructors, then our students suffer greatly. Under DSPS, those students really suffer because majority of them are not identified. So I'm asking you humbly to take note and please reconsider this decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Acosta, you have another minute remaining. Miko Firmage, followed by Alicia Alston, Akali Autry, and then Kelly Hayakawa.
Hi, so I really hate speaking and I'm nervous, but here it goes. My name is Miko Firmage. I have been in the welding department for 3 consecutive semesters, and there's only been 1 IA, which was during the first semester. We need more, period. The welding department is already underfunded, Laney in general. For example, the welding department needs more teachers. There's only 2. They're overworked, and they could offer a metallurgy class, but can't because there isn't enough teachers. The wait time for instructional help is horrible. It takes away from mine and all other students' lab time to try and find help. If there's a safety issue, who is there to assist? I believe more IAs will help students with disabilities, and boost completion graduation rates.
Thank you very much. Alston, Autry, Hayakawa, and then Yanalet Madrid. Alicia Alston?
Good evening, Board of Trustees, President, Vice Chancellors, faculty, and guests. My name is Alicia Alston. I'm a former Laney College student. I just recently graduated, and I am so happy that I graduated because of the fact of the IAs. An IA, a particular IA that is in this building. Without her and the IAs, myself as a student, I wouldn't have been able to graduate. So if, like I said, I would like for you guys to give me just a second, if anyone can take a look at my shirt. This is the important, this is the Laney College Universal Learning Lab t-shirt, and this is the reason why I was able to graduate with using the assistive technology with the help of the IA in the department, in the high-tech center. So please, board, I'd most definitely please reconsider your decision of eliminating IAs, because without an IA, that department would not run as smoothly as it has. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Alston. Akali Autry, and then Hayakawa, Yanlis Madrid, and Loretta Johnson.
All right, hello, my name is Ikayla Autry. I have taken 2 semesters of machining classes at Laney so far, and I'm also here for the instructional assistant push. I just made a list of reasons why it makes sense to have TAs in the classroom. The first one is that it creates a safer shop environment for all the students involved. Like what was said before, if you only have one teacher that's there if there's an emergency, that's not going to be a safe environment for students who are trying to learn, especially when class sizes can get over 30 students. It provides more academic support in the classroom for students because they have former students there that can help them in their projects that have been through that course before and are familiar with the material. It also allows part-time work opportunities for advanced students who may have to work during the day but can pick up a TA position as well. And lastly, it gave me better grades. So the first semester at Laney, we had no TAs in the classroom, and I barely passed. I mostly got Cs, and this semester I got all As. So having TAs is helpful, and we need them. Thank you.
Kelly Hayakawa.
Hello, I am a recent graduate of Laney College, and I as well was an instructional assistant. I'm here in support for that. Our instructors are always there for the entire class. As an instructional assistant, I could pinpoint individuals who may need the extra help. I could sit in their booths with them. I'm with the welding department. I could sit in the booth with them for 20, 30 minutes where an instructor can't. So that's that aspect of the instructional aid. But for myself personally, to learn the safety aspects and all the nuances of the welding department or the welding processes, that has helped me get my career for United Airlines. So I think it's a pretty good program. If anything, for me, of course, I don't know how many students I helped, maybe none. But just to be there for them, it made me feel good, and I hope that it made them feel good as well. So I do hope that we continue this program. Thank you.
Mr. Hayakawa. Yanlit Madrid, Loretta Johnson, Jose Bernal, and then Sam Coleman.
Hello, good evening. I'm Yanlit Madrid, and I'm a student leader at the Undocumented Community Resource Center at Berkeley City College. And I'm just here to speak on behalf of the Undocumented Community Resource Center, as well as the 11 million undocumented people that currently reside in the United States. We wanted to inform you that there are possible ICE operations planned in major cities nationwide, including the Bay Area, and possibly beginning any day. What appears to be planned is targeted enforcement of court-ordered removals with the potential for family separations. On December 13, 2016, the Peralta District adopted a resolution to the immigration issues that emerged with the Trump administration, as well on September 6, 2017. Furthermore, since the district adopted these resolutions in 2016-2017, we have not seen any actions taken to fulfill the needs for protection of the undocumented students at Peralta.
It is imperative that steps are taken to protect the undocumented community district-wide and that our staff, faculty, and administrators are provided with the information that they need to handle any situation that may arise due to potential ICE operations. An example of an incident that occurred yesterday on June 24, 2019, is when an employee of BCC reported what they thought to be an ICE agent at the financial aid office on campus. Word got out to the media and it quickly spread to the news, causing greater panic for students and community. It turns out that the person who was thought to be an ICE agent actually worked for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and was simply doing background checks. Although administration handled the situation well, situations like these should be prevented in the first place before getting out to the community. To prevent similar situations from occurring, we request that the Peralta District offer a training for administrators, faculty, and staff members in the event that Immigration and Customs Enforcement is ever present at any of our 4 campuses. We further request that the district revise and follow through with the resolutions that were written in 2016-2017 to better address the current issues around immigration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Madriz. Loretta Johnson, Jose Bernal, Sam Coleman, and then Leslie Ryman.
Okay. Hi, my name is Loretta Johnson, and I'm on the behalf of the DOSP at Laney College that there is no wheelchair accessory that goes there. The elevators never work, and they need assistance because I took biology, and the microscope was way up high. You have to adjust it. So I came because I have one arm. Then you have to pour the measure. I can't do that because I only have one hand. So it needs to be assistant in half of the classes to help us that's trying. And Laney College is supposed to be there for the helping us, but there's no one there to help us. We already struggle through days and then have to go to school and struggle too. And that's not right. And I'm hoping that you guys will take a part to keep the DOSP open because I had my stroke. I had it at Laney, and without Kim, Stacy Keaton, and John, they helped me learn how to type, how to write, and without their support and all their technology, all the students would be lost. So I would hope that you would take the whole DSPS real serious because it is a serious program and have more teachers' assistants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Jose Bernal, Sam Coleman, Leslie Ryman, and then Joanne Ruckman.
My sincere apologies. I filled out the wrong slip. I'm not a student here. I will not take a lot of your time, if that's okay.
Keep going.
Okay, thank you. So Jose Bernal, I'm with the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. I am here today because I'm here to support your resolution to urge an independent audit, financial and performance audit of the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. We have been calling for this audit since November of 2017. There are now 50-plus organizations that are calling for this audit, community-based organizations that include the Ella Baker Center, that include California Immigrant Youth Justice Alliance, that include the ACLU Paul Robertson chapter, that include Showing Up for Racial Justice, and I can go on and on and on. It's also endorsed by State Senator Nancy Skinner. It's also endorsed unanimously by the Berkeley City Council. It's also endorsed unanimously by the Oakland City Council and the mayor. What we are witnessing in Alameda County is unconscionable. I am very careful with my words, and I do not say anything unless I can substantiate it. What is happening in Alameda County, particularly to people who are in custody, is unconscionable. It is egregious, it is inhumane, and it takes each and every one of us to take a stand. And I think it's very important for this body, for for the Community College Board of Trustees to say where their values are, where they stand. I heard your testimony. I heard the debate that happened here, the discussion back in May. I heard student trustees speak to their own personal experience of what they have experienced with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. I think there's a lot of validity to that. And while there have been 36 plus in custody deaths that I know of in Alameda County Sheriff's Department, that is not the only issue that we have with Alameda County Sheriff's Office. If we're talking about patrol, specifically patrolling, I just want to highlight a case of Hugh G. Jin in Dublin. She was 76 years old. Alameda County Sheriff patrols Dublin. She was slammed to the ground. Now she has permanent brain damage. She's 76 years old. She was deaf. Her crime was jaywalking. According to the SF Chronicle, Jin was issued a citation for jaywalking and resisting arrest, but no paperwork exists and no charges were ever filed. And I kid you not,
Please wrap
no
up,
one was
Mr.
held
Bernal.
accountable for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Sam Coleman, Leslie Riemann, Joanne Ruckman, and then Ian Latta.
Good evening. My name is Sam Coleman. I am a student and also an instructional aide in the Laney Welding program. I am obviously here in support along with many of my fellow students. Being an instructional aide has been extremely beneficial for me in my learning process. Having to explain something that I have learned to others who are currently learning it is possibly the best way to solidify information in my brain at least, and I know it's useful for a lot of others. I won't elaborate that much more on the benefits of the instructional aid program because so many others here tonight have already done a very fantastic job, but I will take the opportunity to not only discourage any limiting of funding or limiting of instructional aids, I would like to advocate for more funding and more instructional aids. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Leslie Riemann, Ruckman, Latta, and then Robert Brehm.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. My name is Leslie Ryman. I'm an instructor at College of Alameda. I teach human anatomy and other biology courses. And several semesters ago, I had instructional assistants and who would be present during laboratory, and that was extremely helpful because we utilize scalpels, and having 34 scalpels all at once, it's a bit dangerous, as you would think. And so it was very useful to have, very advantageous to have somebody else in the room. Also, the students that were instructional assistants were very helpful in that they were able to answer questions while I was in another area of the room. So that was super advantageous. But not only that, the people who were providing that service were also, have now continued on their education. They have continued on into going on to graduate school. So it's an extreme advantage for these individuals to participate in such a program. So I urge you to please find it in your hearts and in your pockets and in your budget to support our students and support this program. Okay? Please? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ryman. Joanne Ruckman, then Latta, Brehm, and then Carol Crooks.
Hello, my name is Joanna Ruckman, and I'm here today as well in support of the instructional assistant positions and would like to reiterate the importance of skills and abilities, and would also like to second the motion of creating more of these positions rather than less. I started at Berkeley City 8 years ago as an incoming student and have built a career out of the skills I've learned in this program. I moved on to become an instructional assistant. I just graduated from SFAI with a master's and am now back applying for a teaching position at BCC in the same department. So I've seen the evolution, through my evolution, I've seen many different angles on this position, and I can't emphasize enough how important it is to the learning process to have these instructional assistants. So please reconsider keeping these positions, expanding the positions, and making sure that these experts get paid well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruckman. Ian Latta, Brehm, Crooks, and then Matthew Silverberg.
I'm Ian. I'm the tutor coordinator at Laney College.
At Laney, our tutoring centers are divided into 3 different classrooms spread around the college, and the tutors are supervised by instructional assistants. So because of this hiring freeze, one of our 3 tutoring centers was closed for all of last semester. And the instructional aide who made, kind of a little, I don't want to put anyone on blast, but like a couple steps over minimum wage, like he's doing very professional work. He wasn't able to be rehired, and he's found a better high-paying job elsewhere, so we lost him. And so we're seeing all of these amazing, committed, experienced people that we've already lost, right? And then we're probably going to lose more just based on these rumors like we heard about with Kim and her living situation. And the other thing I want to say about IAs is, in my experience, it's, so I've been in charge of tutoring for 3 years, and the IAs in charge of the TRC, both of them used it as a stepping stone for positions of kind of more authority and more responsibility in the college. So our IA and the TRC is now in charge of the math lab, which is a larger center, right? So it's a really amazing sort of engine for empowerment as well. And just the last point I wanted to hit on is I heard there was some sort of exemption for like health and safety or something like that, and I'm just really concerned about not being able to supervise tutoring. These IAs are the ones that are supervising tutoring. So last semester, the tutors that were in the Tutoring Resource Center had to be embedded with instructors in their offices and during office hours and in their labs and that kind of stuff. And it worked out okay, but, sorry, just really, yeah, okay.
Please wrap up.
I'm done? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lata. Robert Bram, Crooks, Silverberg, and then Kimberly King.
Good evening, colleagues. I don't believe I need to sit here and remake the case that you've heard fairly effectively from students and faculty. I think their case is overwhelmingly valid. So the case I make is the one I usually stand up here and speak about: public administration and the mission and vision of an organization and the job of a board of trustees and a chancellor of this organization. We may be in a situation of a budget crisis, and yes, please, dear gods, fix it. But to make cuts that actually undermine the mission itself is probably not the best place to do that. And so there may be needs to have cuts. Hiring freezes make sense. But I think the case has been effectively made tonight by everyone that this particular cut would undermine the mission of the institution, which basically puts us into a budget-cutting death spiral. And I don't think that's where we want to be. So there it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bram. Carol Crooks, Silverberg, Kimberly King, and then Lewis Quinlan.
I think I'm going to see. Can you hear me okay here? Right. Can you hear me over there? Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm going to move it slightly forward so it's really, maybe I can't. Okay. My name's Matthew Silverberg. I'm going to speak from 3 vantage points and try to only use 2 minutes. I am a former IA at Berkeley City College in the multimedia program. I worked in the print room for several years. Before that, I spent 10 years in Silicon Valley working in a startup, at which I realized the value of the equivalent of IAs when you're working in any real environment. There are people that do a lot of work that help the actual work to be done for an organization. I saw people such as this in Silicon Valley that are sometimes underappreciated, but they're very important to the operations of an organization. Just like your parliamentarian is of that sort of person. Your organization would probably not run as effectively if you did not have a parliamentarian. So use that as a model for something like what the TARIAs are doing. They are assisting when we, who are instructors, have a large number of obligations, and they are the people at the ground level with the students on a regular basis, helping them accomplish their education. I also happen to now be a representative for the career tech programs from the union, and I've gone around to the 50 to 100, I'm not even sure how many there are, but nearly every one of these programs has IAs or TAs, and they function to make things easier for students, and they do it in issues of health, of safety, and in our program for equipment and machinery that needs to be operated effectively and safely. So I've heard many people talk about this very well. I'm going to leave off right now and say, please support the IAs, bring back the budget, and I want to add to what Joanne and others said, if you can find the room, even enhance it. The goal is to help educate students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Silverberg. Is Carol Crooks still here? All right. Kimberly King, Louis Quinlan, Doug Bruce, and then Leslie Blackie.
Hello, I'm Kimberly. I'm a professor at Laney College in psychology, and I'm the coordinator of the UMOJA program, which is a Black Student Success program. We almost lost our staff assistant with the first round of these cuts related to temporary staff not being rehired, but luckily we had the support of our campus and of the administration to create a new position. Right now, though, I am here to talk about the IA problem and how devastating it's going to be for student success. I know we have a budget crisis right now, so I'm not sure where you're going to find the money, but we have to do whatever we can to rehire these instructional assistants in CTE, multimedia, science labs. I'm very glad to hear that the DSPS situation has been handled, but Kim Kael, who just spoke earlier, she just found out yesterday that her position was going to be kept. She thought her last day was going to be Thursday. This was like months ago that she thought this. I don't know if you guys caught that she actually gave her 30-day notice on her apartment. So it's just I'm very happy that her position's saved, but I don't understand how it went down that way. So I'm really glad that DSPS, which really is some of our most needy students, as you all know, we're trying to close equity gaps, et cetera. So I'm glad that she's being saved, but the way it went down is very disturbing to me. What about the other programs? Some of our most successful programs that we have in Peralta are CTE programs in welding and machine technology and multimedia. Students get jobs in these areas. We're talking about student success. We're going to be funded, as you all well know, based on success, based on transfer, based on job placement even. So it seems like we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we're going to let go of IAs in some of the most successful fields, and not to mention tutoring, the tutoring center. We have AB 705 coming. We're going to have a lot of students who really, I don't think they're going to be prepared for college level, but they're going to be in there. So I just really I just encourage you to do whatever you can. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. King. Louis Quinlan, Bruce Blackie, and then Todd Moore.
Good evening. My name is Louis Quinlan. I'm Department Chair of Machine Technology for the past 15 years. So about 7 years ago, we received some big grants, and one of the things we did with that money is we started putting that money into instructional assistants. And those instructional assistants were usually people that had gone through our program already, were in the process of going out to work, or had already landed jobs. The reason they took these jobs is to help the people behind them because they felt grateful to a program that had provided them with skills and a trade that they could make a good they're working full-time jobs at East Bay Mud, Lawrence Berkeley Laboratories, Livermore Laboratories, San Francisco Water, and most of them are making more than our average teacher at Laney College. So they come back to work and help support their students. Not a single penny of general revenue funding has gone to support our IAs. It's all come from grant money that we have raised on our own or through the strong workforce. Our first 2 years at Laney College, our biggest chunk of funding went to support our IAs in our program. Now, these IAs, we haven't had a single person go over 500 hours. That has never been a question. Most of our students last 2 to 3 semesters, and they move on and up in their full-time careers. So it's a training ground for those students, but most of all, it's safety, safety, safety. On my Tuesday, Thursday class, I had 32 students on 9 different projects. Our class is project-based. We don't give out a written test. Your grade is based on what you produce on that machine because that's what you're going to be graded on when you go out in industry. That's what they're going to hire you for, is to produce on that machine. Instructional assistants are so critical to that model of education and a successful model of education. Received the STAR Award from the state last year. Over 75% of our students had a living wage when they left this program. So you can't argue with that kind of success, especially with a new funding formula coming. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Quinlan. Doug Bruce, Blackie Moore, and then Michael Berlin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Doug Bruce. I teach biomanufacturing at Laney College. We're a lesser-known CE program, perhaps, so I should probably tell you a little about it. We train students to become technicians in the biomanufacturing industry, which is, I think, companies like Bayer, Genentech. They manufacture drugs to go into patients. So we give them the skills to work in those environments, and we've placed many in that industry. I'm here to speak about the IA issue, and like Lewis's program, machine technology, we hire instructional aides, assistants, TAs, to support our classes and labs. There's a lot of prep involved. Like Kale said earlier, it really does lighten the load on the instructors to have someone there to prep for you. When we have lots of chemicals, live cells that need attention, they never sleep. They keep growing, and so someone needs to come in and take care of them. So the prep is a really big part of it. Our instructional aides, they learn how to manage inventory, do chemicals, plan out into the future, and they interact with students in the classroom, taking care of other issues as they arise if there's any problems. And the other big issue, like other CE programs, we have a safety concern. So chemicals like acids and bases or biohazardous waste, those are too much to deal with for one instructor. So instructional aides help us, assistants help us take care of that so all of our students are safe in the classroom. So I urge the board to support the instructional assistants. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce. Leslie, Blackie, Moore, Berlin, and then Adam Balog.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Blakey. I teach biology, and I am the biomanufacturing program director at Laney College. So again, I am also talking about the instructional assistants. And when you teach a lab, when you teach in a CTE program or a science lab, those students are going to get that skill maybe once, maybe twice. But when you have an instructional assistant that is coming in, they then get to deepen their knowledge because they are practicing it again and again. They are perhaps in a science lab making solutions, learning the information behind why they did those things. So that deepening knowledge then allows them to make a bigger impact in their job interviews, and we have increased workplace placement. In fact, all of our students, we kept track of not only our students as they go through the program and if they're transferring to the programs, but also what are they doing in the workforce. And in the biomanufacturing program, about 70% of our students get placed into the workforce, which is very exciting. But our instructional assistants that we've had over the years, again, paid for by strong workforce dollars, we have 100% placement in the workforce. And they also start at a much higher starting salary. So again, it is really exciting to benefit these students with their increased knowledge, with their increased skill base. And again, as has been said, there's a lot of equipment in science labs. And so it really helps those students who might be struggling and are afraid to say, oh, you know, I don't want to talk to the teacher because they're going to think I'm not smart enough. I should have understood that explanation. When you have an instructional assistant, when you have a TA in the classroom, that struggling student can then talk to the IA. It's much less intimidating, and they can say, am I doing this right? And so again, the instructional assistant is getting more experience, but we are having increased student success because our students aren't feeling lost in the classroom because they have another person to ask as well as the professor, but those IAs. So again, I really encourage for these issues of increased placement in the workforce, increased student success, which is really what we're all about, right?
Please
is
wrap up.
Educating the students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Blakey. I'm going to recall Carol Crooks, whom I understand is here. Carol Crooks. Then followed by Todd Moore, Michael Berlin, and Adam Bullock.
This one or this one? This one right here. Do you want to walk on this side? Okay.
Hello, my name is Carol Crooks, and I graduated from Laney College, and I'm very proud of that. I have a certificate in labor studies, and I came by here today, and I found a class I wanted to take. I thought I'd go into the admissions office and ask if I could take it. I have to apply. I know if I can, I have to apply for permission because I've taken too many units. I looked up labor studies in the catalog, or in the class schedule today, and there are only 2 labor studies classes. And that doesn't look right to me. That's for the fall semester. When I went here, we had a thriving labor studies department, and I couldn't get my labor studies certificate if I came here now. I was a teacher at San Quentin for 3 1/4 years and decided to come to Laney to get my certificate in multicultural studies. And I got it in labor studies instead because I decided I could learn more in labor studies. And I'd like to come back and take a current class that's offered in African American studies, but I can't unless I can petition to get in. But while I was here today, I heard about the instructional assistants, and I heard that several buildings are closed. And I'm not limiting my remarks to instructional assistants, so I put down general discussion. I can't believe that the instructional assistants couldn't be saved. The person I learned from in my camera classes was Leonard, and he was an instructional assistant. I couldn't learn from the head of the department because he scared the crap out of me. I'm scared now. But please, please, please do whatever you can to save the buildings that are closed, the programs that are underfunded, the instructional assistants. I know it's asking a lot, but it's important. And I know when I went to school here, there was a flyer published for Peralta colleges that talked about all the strong points of the programs. And Laney College had the highest percentage of students that went on to UC.
Please go ahead and wrap up.
Okay, well, that's it.
Thank you very
Laney
much,
College
Ms.
had the
Brooks.
highest numbers, and Laney needs help. And I'm a community organizer. I just completed a housing organizer training. If there's going to be a problem with funding Laney, I'm going to go out and organize people and get hold of my labor studies classmates and come back in force.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brooks. Todd Moore, Michael Berlin, Bloch, and then Carl Seelbach.
Good evening. My name is Todd Moore. I'm a former graduate of Laney College's Machine Tech Department and a former TA for about 5 semesters working with Louis Quinlan in the machine shop. I know firsthand that TAs are generally easier to approach than the teachers are. Students are less intimidated by our presence and would rather come to us first, and we're kind of like the first line of defense for all the stupid questions that the teachers typically get. And doing 5 semesters, every semester, at the end of every semester, we give the students an evaluation sheet so they can tell us what they need from the program itself. At every one of those, every student has always asked for more TAs. That's been in every single one that I've been in, even the classes that I've taken. And I know firsthand that teaching actually improves your, I know it sounds cliche, but it helps you actually learn, and it improves, oh my God, I'm terrible, I'm sorry, I had it in my head, but you know, it's cliche that everyone says teaching it helps you learn it better, but I took the teaching assistant position specifically so I can give something back to the program and so that I can better myself at being a machinist. And that is what helped me get a job at East Bay Mud, like Louis Quinlan mentioned earlier. I just think it's something that you shouldn't get rid of. Other people can use this to advance not only the program, but themselves in their professional career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Michael Berlin, and then Balak Seelbach, and Christine Olson.
Hello, my name is Michael Berlin. I guess it's a little background. I actually have an engineering degree from a 4-year university, and I came here to Laney and was absolutely blown away by the shops in the CTE program. I took my first class over 5 years ago, and I've basically never left. I've got 2 degrees now as a student in the wood tech department and the carpentry department, And I have also been sticking around as an instructional assistant now for over 2 years. This is my life now. I have my own shop in which I work over 40 hours a weekend, and I come here and work part-time as well, and it's a labor of love. I'm here because I really love the assistance and the attention that I got from the teachers and the instructional assistants myself, and I want to give that back to the new students and the other people there, and I'm constantly learning from them as well. And aside from the obvious safety issues, Wood Tech is a great example because we have multiple different pieces of equipment set up in multiple different rooms that frankly need to be all running simultaneously in order for those classes to progress and the students to be able to finish their projects, which is what those grades are actually based on in these classes. And it's a huge safety issue, but quite frankly, I feel like we're understaffed as it is. I'm being pulled in 5 different directions nonstop just to make sure that the students know what they're doing to set up their next cut, to know what tools to use, what equipment to set up, and to use it safely. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berlin. Adam Balach, then Seelbach, Olsen, and Bonnie Ripberger.
Good evening. My name is Adam Balog. I'm a full-time instructor in the Machine Technology Department at Laney College. I want to touch on the 3 reasons why IAs are absolutely imperative for us in the career and technical education programs. Student success, the value of shop experience for instructional assistants, and also safety. All of these have been touched on so far, but I want to touch on them again. The first, student success, really the #1 request that we get on student evaluations and questionnaires is for more TAs, always more TAs. And that's because they provide answers to simple questions, they provide a repetition of procedure, and they also help in double-checking machine setups, which really accelerates the student learning curve. The other reason is shop experience for IAs. This has been touched on already. Teaching is the best way to learn, but I want to tell you my own personal story. I came here first in 2011 to the Machine Technology Department as a student. I got a job after my first year in industry, but I decided to come back as an instructional assistant because I wanted to give back to the program that had given me so much. I stayed on for several years and started teaching part-time, and now I just finished my first academic year as a full-time instructor. So it's not just It's not just about learning a trade, it's also about mentoring the next generation of instructors that will help Laney College to be strong. And the other thing is safety. Now that I am an instructor, first and foremost in my mind is safety, 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 as Lewis said. I just want to give you some numbers to think about. We've got up to 30 students in a single class working on up to 9 projects, 9 distinct projects at a single time. This is in a mixed shop space over 6,000 square feet. Okay, and there are over 30 individual pieces of heavy industrial rotating equipment that are used for metal cutting. Some of them up to 25 horsepower, and some of them costing over $100,000. Okay?
Start to wrap up, please.
Yeah, and I don't have always a direct line of sight to ensure student safety, and that's what the TAs really do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ballon. Carl Seebach, Olsen, Ripberger, and then Jennifer Briefy.
Good evening, Board. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for your, obviously, patience hearing our qualms, because I'm an instructor full-time now at Laney Carpentry, and I like to use the kind of image that I used to play baseball, and I used to like to play catcher because I liked everything in front of me. And we build homes in Oakland. We go out into the community, and I don't know, most of us maybe haven't worked on a home, but I sure have. And it's kind of hard to see around walls or through walls. And then when that one special student that just needs a little extra coaching, and you can't go to that person because you got somebody else over here with a skill saw, somebody around the other room that you hear a noise you're not sure of. And what do? You tell everybody to stop so you can go into the other room to try to make sure he's operating it safely. It's crazy. So the same thing happens around campus. We have, like have many of my colleagues have spoken, you can't be everywhere. And what our instructional assistants do is give us those 2 and 3, 4 sets of eyes that we can be comfortable with. Because when I'm comfortable, my instruction is much more complete, and I feel much more in tune. When I'm worried about something going wrong, I'm not teaching. I'm just making sure everybody's safe. And so my whole, I don't want to reiterate it, but it just makes all our lives a lot better knowing that we can have someone, not necessarily a full-timer, but like everybody said, it's a lot of people giving back that want to come in a day a week here, 10 hours there. So it's just, I hope we can get it together and realize that we're spiraling by just trying to, cut off our nose to spite our face, to borrow an old term. But please, I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Steelbach. I've called 3 names, and what we're going to do is we're going to hear from those people. We're about to lose quorum because one of our members needs to leave, and we've got action items, including the vote on the preliminary budget. So we're going to hear from these 3 people. We're going to take up our action item, and then we're going to come back to public comment. And I apologize. It's just, otherwise, we're not going to get our vote tonight. We actually really do need to vote on the budget tonight. So if we can hear from Olson, Ripberger, and then Jennifer Briffy.
Briffy. Yeah.
Then we're going to move to action items and then come back to public comment. And my apologies for the inconvenience.
We will take
So
any public comment on those items.
Yeah.
So Christine Olson, I'm chair of the Child Development Department, Human Development Department of Merritt College, and all 3 of us are going to be speaking about the impact of losing our IA in the middle of the year. And there are licensed child-teacher ratios that are mandated by law, and that temporary IA position filled that. And this is for the lab practicum. This is where the student teachers get all of their student teaching. So it's very important that we can keep those regulations and that mandated ratio. And the second thing is that, as many of people have spoken about, the line sight, that legally we are bound to make sure that we are in line sight of the student teachers at all times, because they are not required to do a life scan. And so that's something that we promise the parents, but it's also another legal issue. And therefore, that's another reason why we needed that temporary IA. And the third is on the notion of continuity. We are a demonstration school. Everybody knows in terms of quality, high-quality child care and early care and education that children need continuity. And so we need to be able to have that IA come back for a couple of semesters. I'm going to just throw something out that I haven't heard a lot about, and I'm hoping the board can please clarify. It's our understanding that the SEIU, they do not have a problem with the use of these instructional assistants, because we were told that there were legal issues, and we've been told by SEIU that they do not have a problem with these instructional assistants in part-time positions. So the issue seems to be at the Peralta Human Resource Department. So I'm hoping that the board can talk to the chancellor and they can get it figured out so we can get back these very, very valuable positions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Olson. Bonnie Ripberger.
Good evening. My name is Bonnie Ripberger, and I work with Christine Olson in the lab practicum, which is a working preschool, which means that we have children. The students who are at Merritt College hoping to get an education for their culminating class in the Child Development Department, they are working with real children, which means that we are, as she said, required to follow all the same laws that any other preschool needs to follow. And it is very, very difficult to do that without our IA. I want to give you some very specific things that happened last semester because we did not have our IA. If either of us needed to go to the bathroom for any reason, we were out of compliance for the time that the one of us was in the bathroom, legally out of compliance. It also means that I had a virus last semester, and I came into work while contagious for 2 days. I wore a mask and I coated myself in hand sanitizer. I should never have had to do that. If we had had our IA, it would have been bare bones, but I could have stayed home and we still would have been in legal compliance. I also want to say that I started out as the temporary classified IA in the Child Development Department, and now I am the permanent part-time IA. And so these are positions that lead to more things. I'm now also a part-time faculty member here. And it all started because I started out as a temporary IA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ripperger. Turns out, actually, we're going to be able to maintain our quorum. So we're going to hear from Jennifer Briffy, Andrew Park, Joe Doyle, and then Liz Weiner.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Jennifer Briffa, and I wear several different hats. I'm co-chair of the Child Development, Human Development Department at Merritt College. I'm also the CE liaison for Merritt College, and I come to the district meetings for that. And the other thing I want to speak to is the importance of our IA positions at our Merritt at Fruitvale Center. Our Child Development Department is one of the most acclaimed departments for delivery of certificates. We deliver the most certificates, we award the most certificates at Merritt, and that is due to the fact that we have a student support center that uses IAs, as well as a permanent temporary position, to help students navigate the system, not only the certificate system and the degree system, but also the very rigorous permit system in the state of California to work with children. And these IAs are crucial, but very crucial to me personally is the work they do at Merritt at Fruitvale with my primarily Spanish-speaking students. We have had a student there, a student IA who was a student, graduated from Merritt, became our IA, worked with me directly with these students at Merritt and at Merritt at Fruitvale in the Fruitvale Center bilingually, and just did amazing work with getting all these students to apply for their certificates, the majority of which, I may say, walked the stage because they were so proud with their 6-unit certificates. And she also helped them navigate these really grueling permit applications so they could get an entry-level position as an instructional aide in a preschool or child care center. Without that IA position, this would not have been possible. Also, I'm very concerned as the liaison because with strong workforce funding and other grants coming our way, a lot of us have written proposals that have been written with IA positions put into them, which we'll now have to rewrite because we can't use them. And if anyone knows anything about the strong workforce funds, it's really hard to rewrite proposals once you've submitted them and have them certified. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Andrew Park, Joe Doyle, Liz Weiner, and then Joanne Ruckman. And just for your information, there are about 10 more people in public comment on this area.
Hi, my name is Andrew Park, and I teach physics at College of Alameda. I would like to read a written statement of support for instructional aids from one of our chemistry instructors, Alex Madonik, who could not be here because he's teaching an evening class this summer. Please state my support, Alex Madonik, for instructional aids. Without Catherine Lee, one of our instructional aides last year, there would not have been a Chem 1B lab last spring 2018. The lab was scheduled for Friday morning, and the regular lab tech was off that day. Catherine came in early to make sure all the reagents and equipment were in place and presented the introductions to many of the experiments, since I was new to this lab and less familiar with them. Her support was absolutely essential. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Park. Joe Doyle, Weiner, and then Alejandro Acosta, Alicia Alston.
Good evening, Chancellor, trustees, presidents, and my colleagues, fellow students, and teachers. I'm here to support the IAs. I'm in the multimedia department at BCC, and you have heard of the excellent reputation that we have. This is built with the help of our IAs. There is no way we can maintain the quality of students that we turn out without the assistance of the IAs. They work in the print lab, they work in the video lab, they work with complicated photography equipment. They are tutors, mentors, aestheticists, aiding their students to understand what is a difficult and challenging profession. Without the IAs, I'm afraid the quality of our program will spiral, as you heard before, into a death spiral. This is not some Cassandra giving you hysterical warnings. This is my experience of 18 years in the college, working with IAs, working on multimedia. Without them, we cannot survive. The tragedy of this situation is, I understand it's some sort of bureaucratic fumble between the HR department and SEIU. SEIU claims they have no problems with IAs working part-time. But apparently HR has a problem with hiring anybody who's classified part-time any longer. You please straighten this. We're being all scooped up in the same scoop, and the IAs are separate employees. So please do your best to fix this situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Doyle. Liz Weiner, Acosta, Alicia Alston, and then Kim Kale.
Hi, my name is Liz Weiner. Can you hear me?
If you can use the other microphone.
It's this one over here. Oh, okay, sorry. Hi, I was a printmaker and an artist. I taught at the college level. When I came to California, I immediately started learning digital art at Berkeley City College, and I have increased my professional skills enormously. I'm a student now in the multimedia department. We have a state-of-the-art print room. I don't think there's a better one in the United States. Joe Doyle, the person who just spoke with you, managed to get this together. We have expensive equipment. The instructional assistants run the print labs. They keep the very expensive equipment safe. They teach the students how to use the equipment. It's a matter of safety for the equipment and the students. We have an extraordinary group of talented students in the multimedia department at Berkeley City College. A bunch of us just organized a show for the city of Berkeley of unsheltered artists, homeless artists. It was a tremendous success. We're doing great work in the community through our printing. We need to keep supporting this very, very successful Berkeley City College program. Thank you for your assistance.
Thank you very much. And you're Liz Weiner, is that correct? Let's see, I've got the following names, and I may have already called some of these folks if they put in 2 cards. Alejandro Acosta, Alicia Alston, Kim Kale, Chelsea Samuel. Chelsea Samuel, you are up. It is your time. And then after that, Jennifer Shinosky. And I think those are the last names I've got on open public comment. I've got 2 comments on specific items.
Thank you. I'm Chelsea Samuel. I got my degree in welding technology here at Laney in 2010, and I've been an instructional assistant in Laney's welding department ever since. In midterms and finals, I tested students' welding and metal cutting skills while the instructor was in the classroom giving the written tests, which is critical because so many of our students, including especially ESL students or students with learning disabilities, need extra time to take the written test. But even during regular instruction, try to imagine 40 beginning welding students who've never touched equipment before, all of them waiting to use this extremely high voltage equipment for the first time, waiting for a single instructor to make their way to each student and first ensure that they've set up the machine correctly so they don't blow it up or get an electric shock. Secondly, demonstrate the welding. And then third, test the student and watch them weld before moving on to the next student. The wait times are horrendous, and it's extremely stressful for teachers who are just praying that they've spent enough time with each student to ensure that everybody is safe in that lab. This is where an IA trained in welding safety can be of enormous significance to the students and the teacher. The only complaint that I've consistently heard year after year from every student is that they need more assistance. Staying in school is difficult, right? We all know this, even if your life is perfect. But we have students who are homeless. We have students who have been in prison. And for these people, having an IA in the class can mean the difference between them staying in school and dropping out. These students need just a little extra attention, and we don't always have the personnel to give it to them, and we lose students because of that. It's haunting because welding, in particular, is one of the few jobs left in America where a person without even a high school diploma can actually get a good-paying job with benefits and even retirement. The trades are not skills that can be taught in a huge lecture hall by a single teacher. They require hands-on attention and support, and wait times for instructors make the attrition rate in these classes higher than it should be. This is a time to bring in more support for students and more support for teachers, not less. And I really hope that you will consider bringing back the IAs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Samuel.
Thank you.
Jennifer Shinosky.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for letting us finish speaking before you moved on to action items. So obviously, people are really in support of IAs. The IAs that we have in the classroom support student learning and support safety in the classroom. And I just want to be really clear that what we're asking for is a resolution to the impasse that seems to exist that I can't figure out, and the people that I talk to also can't figure out. SEIU has no problem with IAs being in our classrooms and being hired on an hourly basis. So it's unclear what the problem is, but the students and the faculty are really caught in the middle of the situation without any clarity. And so we're all here tonight to ask the board and the administration to really put their eyes on this situation and figure it out before the fall semester starts and we lose students and something happens. We're always talking about how, we're always putting out fires, and here is a situation where we can be proactive, we can support our students, and we can make sure something bad doesn't happen before it's too late. So I just want to thank all of the speakers who came out and spoke about this issue and really ask that the board, it's easy to look at the big picture items and it's easy to look at our values and our missions as sort of these abstract things, but there are practical things that we can do, that we can follow up on at the next meeting, that we can put deadlines to, that we can actually accomplish in a short period of time that would make real differences to our students, to our staff, to our faculty. I'll stop there. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are all the public comment cards that I have for just the general public comment. I want to thank people for turning out and you sitting through patiently on this. I think we are now going to move to the next agenda item.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ewan, and thank you so much for everybody who came out this evening to tell us how they felt. Really appreciate it. We're going to move to the action items. I'd like to ask if we need a vote to move to that.
For the chair, I think we need to vote on the consent calendar.
We are going to go back to the consent calendar.
To vote for the items that we haven't pulled.
Correct. Yeah, Trustee Wither is correct. We will vote for the consent agenda as a whole, and it will exclude the items that were pulled to action. The request of the president is just to reorder the agenda items so that we could take advantage of having the most trustees present while we do, because there are some time-sensitive items, but all of the items on the agenda will be addressed.
Okay. Okay, we are, I'd like to have a motion to move to 7.1.
So moved.
Any second? Second. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on 7.1?
No, we don't, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Is there discussion? Or questions by the board, any of our trustees? Okay, let's go to a vote.
Student Trustee Stanley?
Approve.
Student Trustee Contreras?
Approve.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
No.
Trustee Napoli Abella-Reese? Yes. Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, trustees. I'd like to move to 7.2. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Okay, let's open discussion. Who was the second?
I second.
Our student trustee?
Second.
We got two student trustees, so the two make a whole.
They're allowed to second. Okay, is there any public comment on 7.2?
No public comment. The only, just for clarification, the only item we have public comment on is 7.6, and that's the sheriff's audit.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 7.2. Do we have a discussion? Trustee Ewan?
So we just had I don't know, 60 public comments on this IAs, and they seem to, the public comments seem to think this was a budget item, and it sort of is a budget item, but it's not. And I'm wondering whether the chancellor might address this item, the issue of instructional associates under this item. It's not specifically agendized, but I think because it is a budget item, it's a question of funding, whether the chancellor might address this. And the chancellor won't, I've got comments, but if we could get some clarification, because it seemed to be that there was some lack of clarity about why we aren't hiring IAs, or are we hiring IAs, or what IAs are being hired. If we could get some clarification from the administration on the status of this and what seems to be holding things up, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Sure, thank you very much. We are reviewing positions with HR to meet compliance. We're reviewing which IA positions are related to workforce career type programs versus those that are strictly academic. So we're looking at an analysis of that to determine which ones and how many should be funded.
So, Madam Chancellor, maybe you could clarify a basic question. Last year we had IAs. We have more or less the same money in the coming budget that we had last year. Why aren't we simply rehiring the same IAs that we had last year? Now, I think I understand the answer to this question, but I think if you could explain it, that might be helpful.
I may be limited by closed session privy information. I just don't know how much of that question I can answer in public, but I'm happy to answer that in private. I'm happy to answer that question with you. There's some confidential issues around the answer to that question, and
Okay,
I
well,
don't think we're permitted
let me try to explain.
to go there.
And then if General Counsel, if you think I am veering into areas that are closed session, then please cut me off. But I'm going to try to respond to this question because I think the public has been asking this. And so here's my best understanding. Moving forward into the coming year, we more or less have the same money. IAs are going to cost us more money next year than they are this year because we are looking at them in different ways and trying to be completely compliant with Ed Code and labor law. If we are being compliant with Ed Code and labor law, my understanding is that some of these positions will cost more money, but we've got the same amount of money. So we're sending these questions about how we prioritize our budgets and what money we spend on what IAs to the colleges. The colleges are going through a budgetary process to prioritize how much money they have, and then saying, all right, here's what we can do with the money that we have, which is more or less the same amount of money that we had this year. But because these positions are going to cost us more, we can't fund as many of those positions. It's not that we have categorically said we're not hiring IAs. It's that we're trying to figure out what IAs we can afford with the money we have. I don't think I've just violated the Brown Act or closed session. I think I've explained something that should be common knowledge within this district. But there seems to be some amount of confusion. I hope that clarifies things, and I wish we could get that out more broadly. If I'm misspoken, please clarify or correct me.
Okay, we got the
Administration.
thumbs up from our legal counsel to respond to that, and thank you for the clarification. So again, I know that Vice Chancellor Whitaker can weigh in on this as well, because she's going to be closest to this analysis I was talking about. This is a budget item. This is about money. This is going to require that we are certain which positions that are instructional assistant positions are positions that are going to be related to compliance versus positions that are going to help in classroom activities. And there may be some differences there, but the bottom line is the budget, and we obviously have to work together with the colleges to find funding for these positions. But we have to know how many we're talking about and what the exact position is and how much. I don't know if VC Whitaker wanted to add to that.
Thank you. We've made several public comments regarding this issue, and while, yes, this is definitely a budgetary issue, this issue stems from a violation of the education code. And it has always been the district's intent to become compliant with the education code and to remain compliant with the education code. This issue folds into a budgetary issue because in order for the district to ensure that we are compliant with the education code, we have to hire short-term hourly employees on a permanent basis. And based on the terms of our collective bargaining agreement, in order to hire a permanent individual, that individual must receive full-time benefits. And that is why this has stemmed into a budgetary issue. So again, we are looking at positions that are most critical. We are looking at safety, compliance, DSPS, lifeguards, everything to ensure that none of our classes have to be canceled, none of our programs have to be closed, but to make sure that we have enough instructional assistants on hand every semester to ensure a level of stability within our colleges and our district office. And so once we are able to determine exactly how many instructional assistants are needed to remain compliant and to for the district to remain at a service level that all of our students are used to, that analysis has been done. We are at the process of completing that analysis. But again, I don't want to venture into any closed session topic. But again, I'm thankful for everyone that came out to speak on this issue. Please know that we are not ignoring the problem. The district, along with SEIU, has been working on this issue for months. So we are listening to everyone's comments and taking it very seriously, and we are close to resolution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chancellor Whitaker. Trustee Brown.
Thank you, Chancellor and Vice Chancellor Whitaker and Trustee Gonzalez-Huen for the explanation. I think that helps illuminate the issues, but I think that we also want to underscore the fact that we are aware of the importance of instructional assistance. There were people who spoke about programs that either I've gone through with family members or have had my kids were at a merit teaching school in preschool. The machine shop, the carpentry program, those are the programs that we're very proud of. Those are programs that we go to the Department of Labor in Washington, D.C. in February to try and get apprenticeship money for, because of the respect and appreciation we have for those programs and what it does to transform the lives of members of our community. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware that our job as trustees is basically as consumer advocates. We are elected by the communities that we live in, and the people that are our neighbors have our students and our employees and our people that want to get sustainable jobs, careers that allow them to have benefits, that allow them to rise up and be able to have stability and support their families. So we appreciate that when you guys come out and talk to us, because even with the experiences that we have, the passion and the firsthand experiences from our teachers emboldens us and helps us to try and find money when we're in a state that has underfunded education, and when we're trying to be able to add programs and classes to reach our community, which is underserved. We have more people that need an education than we're educating right now. So I want to make sure that you know that we do hear you, and we appreciate you coming out here. And I know there was a lifeguard that pumped his fist when somebody mentioned lifeguards. You know, lifeguards, we appreciate those things because that helps with health and well-being, and it helps with experience that people have in having a community college. So we're not allowed to respond when you're having public comment, and we can't talk about what's happening in closed session. But I want to make sure that we communicate that the reason that we hold these positions and are here till all hours of the night, in addition to working full-time, is because our community asked us to represent them and find solutions in a very difficult situation where the apportionment money that comes and the tax money that comes doesn't cover all of the costs, and where the Ed Code has constraints that limit the number of people we could hire. But those things aside, I come from a state that started HBCUs under segregation. We don't let the law stop us. We find a way to help ourselves. So I want to let everybody know that we're working very diligently to have our community pool its resources and to work together, because we can't wait sometimes for the legislature to lead. Sometimes the people have to lead, and that's what our job is.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. One more from Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan. I'm sorry. Trustee Wither?
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on what Trustee Brown has just talked about. I think that most of us on this board fully support the idea of enhanced education in terms of instructional assistants and tutors. There's no question about that. But it's not quite as simple as what Trustee Ewan was talking about in terms of jamming it into the budget. It's a very complex, to me anyway, and may not be complex to other people, but it's very complex to me in terms of the laws that we have to interpret and follow. Plus the fact that when you move from an hourly to a permanent position, you're talking about a 70% increase because of benefits. And that's not something we can sneeze at. That's not something that this board is encouraging the chancellor to find a route to make it happen. But it's not something that we can just snap our fingers and say, let it be done.
Madam Vice President.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to add that there will be more clarity around this item or issue by the time we're ready to adopt the final budget. We're still waiting for information from State Chancellor's Office and the governor's final budget, et cetera, et cetera. It's difficult to speculate what that might be for purposes of the tentative budget, but we'll have more clarity around that, and it will be resolved by the time we're ready for final adoption.
Thank you, Chancellor. We have one more from Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan.
There seems to be some confusion about the provisions in the Ed Code, what provisions we're talking about and what those provisions say. And I'm wondering whether the administration could point to a section of the Ed Code that is in question, and then just generally outline what are the requirements of the Ed Code in relationship to instructional assistance. Why is this even a question? So if you looked at the Ed Code, you read it, what section would we look at? And generally, what does that say? And why are IAs even in question here? We've been doing this forever. What makes us think in a general way, and I'm not talking about specific cases, but if we can talk in a general way, what makes us think that we need to do something differently?
We can agendize that question and bring it back for you, but I would just request if the trustees could please focus on the agenda item that at hand, which is the adoption of the tentative budget. The IA issue can be agendized later, and while I understand there's a budgetary impact, I don't believe it directly impacts this consideration.
Actually, the chancellor's just said, we'll have this figured out by the time we've got a budget. Now, here's the challenge. By the time we have a budget in the fall, if we're waiting until then, we've got all of these people who are trying to figure out how to plan their classes, their curriculum, whether they're going to have help. And then you've got all these IAs trying to figure out whether they, in fact, have jobs. So this, in fact, is absolutely germane to the budget. This is absolutely germane to the budget. And it's such a general question.
I'll repeat. We have to do an analysis. Part of that analysis answer was given from Vice Chancellor Whitaker, who's already started working on that. And we have to look at the costs. It's hard to just speculate, just throwing money on a line item that you haven't researched, studied, and had participation from the colleges and what they're looking for and needed. I think that's an important process going forward, and that's how we will be able to provide the clarity and answers to what is needed and going forward.
Okay, I'm just going to say this last thing. Look, if we in fact are going to go through a shared governance process where people where people say, all right, here's what I think this budget should look like, here's the priorities, and we've got people throughout the district participating in that process. Unless they have clarity on this very question, it's very difficult for them to then say, yeah, we'll prioritize this versus this. So I'll be quiet. Apparently, the administration does not want to respond to this question, but I think this is leading to a lot more confusion in the public and in the shared governance process than it should be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would like to move forward and take a vote.
And Vice President Weinstein, can we just get that second, since student trustees cannot make a second or a motion?
No, they absolutely.
Yes, they can. They can make a second.
Can you not argue with general counsel so we can keep moving?
General counsel can,
Yeah,
she needs to
board,
answer.
board policy 2015 says that student trustees may enter into discussions of agenda items and otherwise participate in board members with the exception of making and seconding motions.
No, we changed that.
we did change that, but
I'll second,
but
whatever.
we'll come back to that again. Okay.
There's
We
absolutely
will revisit the issue.
Student trustee Stanley? Student trustee Contreras?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bella-Reese? Trustee Brown?
Yes.
And Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to 7.3. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Second. Thank you. Let's open the discussion, please, about the approval of the proposed 2019-22 district staffing plan, final reading. Presenter, Vice Chancellor Whitaker. Okay, we moved. Is there any comments? No?
Can I amend this motion to add item 7.4, consider approval of the equal employment opportunity, and we just take one vote on both these items?
I'll second that.
Right, and I'm just trying to get them on both. If
Okay,
it's-
yes.
If it's acceptable to the maker and seconder? That was trustee Withrow?
With trustee Woodrow, second.
And who was the seconder? Are you?
I'll second.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay. Roll call.
Student trustee Stanley? Student trustee Contreras?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bella-Reese? Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. We are moving to 7.5. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And seconded. We do have that. Thank you. Discussion, please. This is the adoption of resolution number 18/1977, declaring the futility of public bidding for work arising from unforeseen conditions and approving a Fifth Amendment to Agreement for Professional Services with Johnson Control, formerly Tyco Simplex Grinnell, for district-wide fire system testing, inspection, repair, and maintenance.
Yeah, we do.
Trustee Brown?
Just by way of background, the reason that we have the Simplex Grinnell contract was I just want to make sure everyone understands that we had a couple of years ago done a 5-year analysis and put together all of the contracts that we had had with Simplex and Grinnell to try and get all of our fire life safety work and maintenance work under one contract. We bid that. It wasn't funded, and so we couldn't get Simplex to come back. Best laid plans, says Steinberg? Okay, it's late. I'm forgetting my literary references. But in any case, of mice and men, but in any case, I'm not sure which we are tonight, but in any case. The reason that we are saying that it's important to forego public bidding is not that we're not looking for the best price and that we're looking for the best, not that we're not looking for the best bidder pool, which is the basis behind competitive bidding. It's that we have ourselves painted into a corner, and we really need to get the fire life safety work done because we need to get all of our buildings online, and we need to get the life safety issues resolved, and where our classes are not able to continue as they would normally, which constitutes an emergency under the Public Contract Code. So just so everybody knows, these things have stories, history underlying the action, and so this is actually the best way to get our buildings back online and to resolve the fire life safety issues.
Steinbeck, thank you. Okay. Any other trustee? Can we take a vote, please?
Student Trustee Stanley? Yes. Student Trustee Contreras?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella-Reese? Yes. Trustee Brown? Yes. And Trustee Weinstein? Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, now we move to action item 7.6, and we do have 2 comments from the public.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, now we can.
Okay.
We have 2 public comments. We've got John Lindsay Poland and then Norma Orozco. Mr. Lindsay Poland, thank you for coming.
There we go. Good evening. My name is John Lindsay Poland. I'm with the American Friends Service Committee, and I'm glad that you're considering this resolution this evening. I know that you already approved a modified contract for the next year for the services of the Sheriff's Office. And I wanted to just let you know one more reason why many people in the community are so concerned about the actions of the Sheriff's Office that could impact the Peralta colleges. This week, there will be a court hearing in San Francisco in response to 2 lawsuits that were against the Sheriff's Office for conduct in the Santa Rita Jail. In the Santa Rita Jail, inmates are awoken at 3 o'clock every morning, but in addition to that, they are awoken an hourly every night, and they're also people can't sleep. They go months and months and months at a time without being able to sleep more than 1 hour in a row. So some of these inmates sued the Sheriff's Office and won in federal court. A federal judge issued a court order that these sleep deprivation policies should be discontinued. And the Sheriff's has filed 2 motions to dismiss this case as well as another case. In this case, the Sheriff is arguing that federal law bars mental and emotional claims without a physical component, and sleep deprivation only causes cognitive and neurological deficits, which are just mental and should be dismissed. The other case is on behalf of 2 infants who were in custody in utero and were born with deficits, including low birth weight and neurological deficits. And the sheriff is arguing that the babies were not, quote, humans per Roe versus Wade while in utero, and therefore could not have been injured. So this is the department that we are very concerned about, that there's a culture that's coming from the top of this department. We think that the audit can do 2 things. One is that it can highlight both these abuses in the jails as well as the causes in policy and in practice. That is other things that there's a there's a CSAC report. These things are not investigating policy and practice by the Sheriff's Department that are causing these abuses. And the second thing it can do is highlight ways in which the sheriff's budget can be reallocated to bring more funds into the community rather than incarcerating people who are suffering from mental illness and other ways that's being used that is not contributing to prevention and well-being of the affected people. So thank you for considering this, and I really hope actually that I'm very glad that the Vice Chancellor will be going to the CAHOOTS presentation tomorrow, and I hope that in fact this resolution will be communicated verbally as well to the Board of Supervisors, because they really need to hear from people throughout the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Norma Orozco.
Hello, yes, thank you. First off, I just want to applaud you all for the brave stance that you took in originally rejecting the budget with Sheriff Ahern. I think that budgets are moral documents, and by choosing to continue to employ Alameda County Sheriffs for your colleges and taking that stand, even though I know logistically you had to renew that contract, the fact that you all took that stand and that you are now looking at alternative security forces for your community colleges makes a huge stance. I really do appreciate that. I won't take up much more of your time. I'm sure you're aware of the atrocities by the Sheriff's Office, which is why you voted in the way that you did for that, and I urge a unanimous support of the Audit Ahern resolution. Your support really will make a difference in our continued push for this audit. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Ms. Orozco. Judith Stacy is the last commenter on this item. Cute dog.
Thank you. He's used to
We'll give you
meetings.
another minute
We
just
just
for the
came from the
dog.
Oakland City Council Public Safety Committee, where I was speaking on a somewhat related issue about trying to curtail ban the use of facial recognition technology on the grounds of its use in racial profiling and other things. So anyway, I just made it over here in time. My name is Judith Stacy. I'm from the Wellstone Democratic Renewal Club and also part of the coalition working to demand an audit of the Sheriff's Office. I became aware of the abuses of the sheriff when I was visiting detainees in the West County Detention Center before that was closed, partly in response to the abuses that we exposed there. And while I was there, I discovered not only the abuses of Sheriff Livingstone in Contra Costa County, but how many of the detainees I visited had been picked up right out of Santa Rita when they were just released on bail. And some of these, in one case I worked with an 18-year-old community college student who had lived here since he was 3. And the day after he was released, his father, who had lived here 20 years, was picked up and deported. So I became very concerned and been involved in the truth forums and all of that with the sheriff ever since. Really want to echo my colleague Norma's comments in thanking you all for attempting to end your security contract with the Sheriff's Office. It really is an abomination on so many levels, and you've heard many of them. I don't want to repeat what I imagine people have already said, but I also want to say that I'm a former academic. I'm a retired sociologist who taught in the UC system and at NYU, and work now with students. And today I was visited by a student I worked with as a volunteer at College Track, who is a member of the Oakland community who wants to come back and give back. And so I feel very dedicated to Oakland. I came back, and I really want this county, I want us to start focusing, and in fact, I've gotten involved in sheriff reform efforts. We really have to find many ways to rein in the power of the sheriffs in the state in general. We have a very archaic system, and I think you can be a beacon in setting policy that will at least find another security system, and meanwhile, demand a performance as well as a financial audit of the sheriff's department. And see, it's time to take it away from a strictly punitive law enforcement and domineering approach and start making this a community-based place where we try to rehabilitate as many people as we can and cage as few people as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stacy.
Do we have a motion?
I think we have a motion and a second.
Second to open it? Okay, we just need roll call.
Student Trustee Stanley? Yes. Student Trustee Contreras?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Madam Vice President, may I just interrupt to make a correction? Board Policy 2015 was revised to include that student trustees may enter discussions of agenda items and otherwise participate in board meetings, including making and seconding motions and casting advisory votes prior to the votes being cast by the rest of the board. Student votes shall not be included in determining the vote required to carry any measure of the board. My apologies for the mistake.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. We want to make sure our students have a vote and a say. Okay. Item 3.2. I'm not sure who pulled it. This is 3.2.
This is board policy.
Okay.
Should we move to 4.2 in the meanwhile?
We're at 3.2. Do we have a yes,
Move
motion?
approval of 3.2.
Any second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Okay.
Unfortunately, I have a real serious issue with board docs, and I've had it since we've got it, because for 15 years, I was able to highlight in my board material, so I didn't have to read things 3 or 4 times. And even though I've spoken to board docs specifically, how something so common as being able to do something, so you have to go and you have to open every item to see where you've left your notes. And so I put notes in there quickly, but my questions were 2 things that came up. And I'm hoping that we can get a correction on this, because it doesn't make sense for us to have to read things and not be able to mark them in the document. It's much more efficient. But one of the things is what is the updated language? Because it said the following, on some of these they said that they were updated language. And the last one, Board Policy 7340, leaves. This policy was updated to add a new leave for union stewards and a corresponding legal citation. It's based on a government code. And my question is, isn't that something that's already negotiated? Or is this something that's mandated, but isn't the leaves already something that's negotiated in their contracts? I wasn't sure.
Chancellor?
Oh, I'm VC Whitaker regarding Board Policy 7340. We do have leaves in the contracts, but this is also, and Vice Chancellor Whitaker can speak to that. But as you know, Trustee Handy, these are CCLC template language updates.
That was my other question, because I wasn't quite sure. That's what I wanted the clarification. And I wasn't able to see, it said updated language, but I didn't see the previous language. So I wanted to know just what that was.
But we definitely have articles on leaves in our contract.
Yes, Trustee Handy, it is just an update, and the stewards are already getting leaves per the CBA.
Are there any other questions or comments? No, seeing that. Can we have a roll call, a vote?
Student Trustee Stanley? Student Trustee Contreras? Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen? Trustee Napoli-Abella Reese? Trustee Brown? And Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Can we move to item 4.2? Consider.
Which item are we in?
Excuse me?
Oh, 4.2.
Yeah, 4.2.
So moved.
A second? Any second? Second, okay.
Madam Vice President, I pulled this item
Okay.
for discussion, and I just, so just for the public, this is a contract with Condé Nast. They apparently want to come and do a documentary about our football team and Laney College and how cool we are. And it looks like in many ways this is like, well, of course, why wouldn't you do this? And my concern is that as I was reading the contract, there's a non-disparagement clause. Now, it's not a two-way non-disparagement clause. It basically says, that we will never say anything bad about Condé Nast. Now, they say we'll never say anything that we know is incorrect, but they're not saying they're not going to disparage us. All right, there's also an arbitration clause that I'm not particularly thrilled about because it gives them all the power. And so I'm just really torn. It's like, all right, they are holding all the cards here because they want to come and do this documentary. But on the other hand, they kind of want to do a documentary about us and we're cool. And why are we handing over their ability to disparage us unilaterally? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Trustee Ewan, Chancellor?
Yes, I would like for council to respond to that, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee, for your question. Section 13 of the contract that addresses publicity and non-disparagement does include a mutual non-disparagement provision. The sentence reads producer and owner. In this contract, producer is defined as the show producers. Owner is defined as Laney College. Further agree not to make any derogatory or knowingly false statement about the other or any of their employees, officers, or contractors. The remainder of the section does address other things that are more, to paraphrase, like more one-sided in terms of our inability to advertise in advance of the airing of the show, that we shouldn't authorize publications or news stories in advance of the airing of the show, things like that. But the actual sentence related to derogatory or knowingly false statements, which are called disparagement, is a mutual non-disparagement.
Okay, thank you. I misread the clause.
Wait, we haven't, thank you. Trustee Brown?
So I want to say firstly that the Laney College president is fiercely protective of her students and her campus, and so is the athletic director. And that football team carries, I believe, 98 students, which is more than you could actually, 100. Part of the reason that those students are carried is because they can eat. I'm just going to be honest. They get the tutoring. They get food. This is why we are a community college. This is why we're a part of the community. And Laney is trying to get money to help support its programs. And they're badass, and somebody wants to film it. And so I'm just saying, if they want to do it, I read the contract too. And, I don't wear my legal hat as a trustee, but if I thought that they were coming for Laney, I'd put on my hat backwards. So, we need to believe in and support our coach and our college president because they are fierce protectors of our students.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Anybody else? No? Can we take a vote?
I did want to speak.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Like Trustee Brown said, I feel that if some of a television network and they want to document Laney's success on a bigger scale than what it is right now, why not do it? It is for the students we are putting out the hard work the students put out there. And I don't feel that there has been any harm or in the contract in any way so as well. Like I said, it is a mutual agreement, and I speak on behalf of the students. I believe that it's time to shine on the students, and this is an opportunity that we might not get in a very long time, so why not go ahead and move forward with this?
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay. Can we take a vote?
Student Trustee Stanley? Yes. Student Trustee
Yes.
Contreras? Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewen?
Yes.
Trustee Napolia Bellarice? Yes. Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Can we please move to action item 6.3?
I pulled 6.3, and I'm looking.
I need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, I pulled 6.3, and as I look at this contract for ABC Security, the original contract was for $641,000. The contract amendment for 6 months, for January 16 to June 30, is for $367,000. And the second amendment, which is only for 4 months, is for $304,000. So the original contract was for $640,000 for a whole year, and we are now paying half of that almost for only 4 months. And if we look back to the November 2017 approval for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 1 was to be a total of $641,000. Year 2 was supposed to be a total of $658,000, and year 3, and these are January to December or January to January, was supposed to be a total of $675,000. So my question is, why our Amendment 2 only is for the duration of 4 months rather than 6 months at what is ostensibly almost half of a year's payment?
Chancellor, would you like to respond?
I'm going to ask Vice Chancellor Sada to respond.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. The question is really a two-part question. The first one is about the timing. In board agenda review, it was a sort of a mutual decision to shorten the length of the contract from originally 1 year to as quickly as we could put an RFP out on the street to see what other vendors would be available and interested in working with us. So that decision really just came down to about as fast as we thought we could turn an RFP. And that's a very short amount of time for us, frankly, but we think we can do it. The second question about the cost, it's a little bit higher for two reasons. One is that the billing rates have gone up a bit in that time that we've had it. And actually, the other piece of it is that we requested for Merritt College specifically the addition of a motor, I don't know if it's called motor pool, which did add some cost. And this would be so that this security company would provide all-night service from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning. And it's an optional feature that we can choose to do, but we wanted to get board approval for it. It was a request from the neighbors, the HOA neighboring. They've reported some activity at night and said that tends to start on our campus after hours. So we're asking for the approval of that, although we don't have a final decision about yet whether we want to implement it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
I do have a comment. I do believe that our turnaround is very high for ABC around our campuses, and that's not acceptable. I believe that there should be higher qualifications for security guards on our campuses, just so the turnaround rate is not as high and is not as frequent, because we want consistency around all campuses, and we want to make sure that security of the students is at hand and make sure that that is their biggest priority as the company that we do hire. For me, turnaround is a big thing, and qualifications is another. So I do agree on what you guys are saying.
Thank you, and we'll take your comments to heart when we do the next RFP. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, can we call the question? Roll call, please.
Student trustee Stanley? Student trustee Contreras?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
And trustee Weinstein?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
I think we now go back to consent calendar.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
I think we will.
So we're at 3.1. Consider approval of out-of-state travel. Do we have a,
It's the entire consent calendar.
the whole
3,
consent?
4, 5, and 6.
Okay, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do I have a motion
There's a motion and a second already.
and a second?
We already have that.
Okay, thank you.
Student trustee Stanley? Student trustee Contreras?
Yes.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Trustee Gonzalez Yuen?
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Abella Reese? Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Weinstein?
Yes,
Thank you, motion carries.
thank you. Do we have to go? Thank you. Now we can go to board trustee reports. Trustee Withrow? Pass, okay. Student trustee? Pass. Trustee Handy? Come back. Student trustee?
We can go ahead and pass.
Pass. Trustee Brown?
Gotta leave for the airport at 3 a.m. I'm going home.
Okay. Have a safe flight. Trustee Napoli Reese? Trustee Gonzalez Yuen?
Pass.
Trustee Weinstein, I pass. And Trustee Handy? I pass.
Chancellor's report.
Chancellor's report.
Very brief, I'm not passing. I promise not to be long. I'm going to try to do this before Trustee Brown gets out of the room. We do have an enrollment update report in your packet showing some trends around summer. We're not really ready to show any trends around fall. It's still pretty early. But so far, just to sum it up, the enrollment has improved significantly and looking pretty good. ACCJC update, we expect a letter from ACCJC within probably next week. Same with the FICMAC, it's ready, and the report will come to us very shortly. And that's my update.
She did it.
I told you.
Thank you. We have a lot of things to look forward to, and I think we can have the meeting adjourned.
No, I've got final
Nope.
announcements.
A couple of announcements, I'm sorry.
Okay, announcements. There's a board retreat scheduled for July 9 at Scott's. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be July 23 in the district boardroom. The board wishes everyone a safe and fun 4th of July holiday, celebrating a nation born in revolution. Yeah. The Peralta offices will be closed in observation of that revolutionary holiday. Madam Vice President, that concludes announcements for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Yuen. Meeting is adjourned.
You get to bang the gavel.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's right. Karen, nice job.
Thank you, thank you.
Getting through that public.
Thank you.
I know.